So today we are going to make the building system that I showcased a while ago. So let's just get into it. In the contents, let's just create a folder called stored system. And right here we are going to have an AC component. So the component called store manage or something like that. And we're gonna create a folder called a data table. So this will basically have all the data tables, all the items, building information or box information. Then we are going to have structure. And for now, that's basically going to be it. So in the structure, we are going to create a basic blueprint structure. So we're gonna call this building info. So this will be all the information about the building itself. So for example, shelves, registers, tables, and all that kind of stuff. So create some variables. The first one will be a name. Oh my god, name. This will be a string. Well, actually let's have it as a text for now. Second one is a description. Not really necessary, but later when we add the UI, you can add the name and the description as well. Then we can have the mesh itself. So that's a static mesh. Oh my god. So that's a static mesh, just like that. On place tag. So this will be used for when you place, for example, an object on top of the object. So it's a tag, so it's a name. So a name, blueprint itself, and that's an actor. And it's a class reference, of course. And layer trace channel. This one is quite optional because you can use a tag or the trace channel. They are quite similar, except the tag is a tag, like a hashtag, you know. And layer trace channel is basically you have to create a trace, and you know it's complicated. This will be a trace. I will explain how both of them work, of course. And the last one will be the cost of it. So how much the item will cost. And that's a float. Can delete the last one. Okay. So that's about it. Now in the data table, we are going to go to miscellaneous. There should be data table. And search for the ST building information. Yeah. And call it DT building info, just like that. Okay, so we have the basics all done, and now we can open up the store manager. I'm just gonna put that right here, and this is where all the bullshit logic will come in. Event tick, you can actually, I think, delete that. We don't really need that. In the begin, we're gonna get owner, and we are going to cast to our third person or first person or whatever character you have, just like that. Yeah, cast. This is not bad, by the way. Of course, you can use the interfaces, but this isn't bad because this AC will go in the third person, so it's always gonna run, so it doesn't really change anything. So you can promote this into a variable, call it BP player, just like that. And again, so we're gonna get follow camera. You promote that to a variable as well. Just call it camera. Now, from the execute, get data table row names. And that's going to be our data table that we just created. And for each loop, so we're going to go through the data table. So that's why, you know, for each loop. And we are going to get data table row. And that's going to be the data table, just like that. And the name will go in here. You can see we don't have any rows, but we're going to create it soon. Now we're going to create a variable called DT inventory. I'm just gonna call it inventory. You can call it whatever, and it's going to be the st building info that we just created, and and it's gonna be an array because it's gonna have multiple items, not just one. So we're just gonna get that and add the rows right here. So basically how it works is gonna get the data table names, it's gonna go through all the rows, and it's gonna basically get all the rows and put that in here. Now we can go into our data table and start creating by pressing add multiple rows. For now, we're just gonna have two, so we can name it, for example, table, and this can be, for example, register. And right here you can add the meshes, the names. I don't really have anything, so we're just gonna improvise it for today. So our table will be a cube, so let's find like a cube like that, and the register will be like for example a cone, you know, why not. Of course, like here you can add the blueprint. We are not gonna add that right now. The blueprint is for example if you want the item to be interactable. But today we're just gonna show the item. Okay, so back at the store manager, and we are gonna have the preview line trace. So we can have a custom event preview line trace, and this will basically have a line trace that moves the object around, and it will check if we can place the object to the ground, on the ground, or surface. So we're gonna have a branch, promote that condition, and check building question mark, and by default it should be false, so have it as false. If it's true, we're gonna have set timer by event, the event create event, custom event, and this will be tracing, and we're gonna promote this return value because we have to stop the timer as well. So line timer, just like that. Probably should name it timer handler, so just like that. And right here when it's false, we're gonna stop the timer. So we're gonna get the line timer handler, clear and invalidate timer by handle, just like that. And we are gonna set the time handle to be nothing, just like that. Probably, I know some people don't do this. It's not really obligated, but just in case something goes wrong. I'm just gonna move it. Oh god, we're just gonna have basic line trace. So line trace by channel, and we didn't even needed the camera, but oh well. So we're gonna get player camera manager, get actors location, plug that into the start, that's where it's going to start, that pin, get actors forward vector, and we're just gonna multiply that by some sort of float. So for example, I would say 600 is a good amount. If you're doing third person, that's probably should be 200, like double. I don't know, it's quite up to you, just test it out. And we're gonna add, oh my god, from the actor location, we're gonna add the multiplied forward vector, and that's gonna go into the end. We're gonna set the trace channel visible, draw debug for duration, so you can see it for now. Of course, return value, we should check if we actually hit something. Out hit, break it. Basically, if you see a blue node, just break it. Don't give a shit, just break it. Now, probably the hard part, how I said, there's two ways to do it. When we set the layer trace channel and place on tag, I will use place on tag because it's 20 times easier. So hit actor. Actor has a tag. ground. So if the actor that we are hitting has a tag ground, for example right here, ground, if it doesn't, you cannot place it basically. Okay, hopefully, oh shit, hopefully that makes sense. So that's a branch just like that, and we are gonna do or, and right here we're gonna have this on place tag just like that. So we are gonna get the DT inventory, get, break it, on place tag has a tag, component has a tag, hit component, plug that into the target, plug that into the OR, and that's it. Of course we are not done because we have to know what item we are gonna choose. So now of course the index will for now just promote that into a variable, call it index. I don't know, just call something. This index will basically say which of these rows we will choose. For now we're just gonna have a table, so that's 0. Yeah, if you want it, you just have to switch the index to switch which item. Okay, cool. Anyways, now listen, man, listen. Now the hard part that I literally don't understand. We're gonna create a variable, call it can build. Bam. Promote, make it as a boolean, a single one, because it's single, just like you, and add that to true and false. The true will be true, of course. And now we're gonna have a sequence because we have two. We're gonna do two more. We're gonna we're gonna do two things at the same time, just like woman. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. From 0, we're gonna do once, and reset will just gonna have a custom event. Reset building mode, just like that. Now the difficult part comes in, that literally is quite weird, I would say myself, that I actually spent 20 years on this. So we're gonna add static, we're gonna get the BP player, add component, and you should find add component by class. Plug that in. The class, you may say, is a static mesh. And this is where I actually struggled, because there's, I think, 3 ways to actually make this possible. One is by actually spawning the item. Second, what we are doing is, I guess, not spawning the item. You'll see how it goes. We're basically gonna preview the mesh. We're not gonna actually spawn it in. That's why we are doing this. Promote that into a variable, call it preview mesh. Because both of them has their minuses and pluses, so I think this is the best way so far. And set static mesh, and guess what? We're gonna get the inventory, get copy, break it, and put the mesh in, just like that. That's why we have this actor class. So if you wanna do it differently, you can do it. And that's basically it. Of course, add the index as well. Okay. The relative transform, we kinda basically promote that into a variable as well. And this is done now. So I didn't really explain what we are doing in here. So basically we're just spawning the mesh in. That's it. We just spawn it in only once, and when we, for example, select a different item, we're just gonna do the reset building thingy. That's it. Now we are gonna now the hard part. So if you're below the age of 9, click away. So we're gonna create a macro, call it spawn, stopped spawn location. And right here we're just gonna do some math. That's why I said click away. It just fucking hurts my brain sometimes. We're gonna have some inputs, 3 of them. This will be in vector x. So basically copy it, paste it on every single one except change this to y. Change this to z. Change everything to floats as well. Okay. Now, from the x, we're just gonna divide. So divide that shit. You may ask, what are we dividing? I have no idea. And we're gonna round it up so it doesn't go into thingamajiggy. And then we're gonna multiply it. And make this, so right click on it, make it as a float, plug that in. The return will be out vector x, just like that. Okay. Now, you may ask, what are we dividing? That's gonna be the stopped lock. Basically, what we're creating right now is, so it kind of moves like in a grid. That makes sense. So from the y, same thing, divide, plug that into the stop. This will be rounded up, because we just have to use the x and y. The z basically goes into the output. And once again, multiply that, set that to the float, plug that in, and it's going to be multiplied by the stop lock thingamajiggy. Okay, and the z, of course, plug that into the output. So that's gonna be out vector z, out vector x, no, y, sorry. Okay, so everything should look correct except the y, but that's basically done. Now, what we can do, okay, so I maybe made a mistake. That is a huge one. So just delete every output and then every input that we just created and make it as a vector, because this will actually not work. So this will be in vector, just like that, and then we have to split that to get this. I don't know why I did that. So for the output as well, this is out vector. This is an easy fix, so don't worry about it. And of course, just plug everything in, just like that. It's gonna go into the location. Now we're gonna set the relative transform. Should be set, split that, plug in the relative transform, rotation, promote that into a variable called preview rotation. The scaling shouldn't affect anything. Now the preview mesh, so get the preview mesh, set relative transform, plug in that, okie dokie. Oh, fuck off. What we have to do is set the material. So this is the last step that, well, not the last step, but one of the last steps that we have to do. Of course, plug this into the first one, into the sequencer. So basically this function will do when the line trace hits something, so as the preview changes, so the location changes. That's why we added the relative world transform thingy. So whenever you hit something like a wall with a line trace or the floor, the mesh will just teleport that basically. And we're just gonna get the preview mesh, set material, just like that, plug it in, and we are going to do select by can build, so that plugs in like that. So if it's false, it's gonna set to that. If it's true, it's gonna set to that. So we have to create it. So let's create the material, call it material allow build. Just do allow build, and right here we're just gonna have a base color. Just hold 4 and press, it should bring this up. Plug that into the base color, and this will be like some sort of green. So this is allow build, something like that. And opacity, we actually have to make it translucent, so click on somewhere. There should be blend mode, translucent. Opacity, just press, hold 1 on your keyboard, press opacity, and this will, what I found is 0.25, what is the best one. So save everything, duplicate that and make it disabled or not allowed build. Just change the color to red or whatever color you want, and that's basically it. So you can go back. False will be not allowed and true will be allowed build. For the preview, one more thing, set collision enabled, and right here will be collision and collision enable query something. Bam. Okay, we are done now. Okay, we are done. So if I am correct, it should technically work. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. But first things first, go into our table and see if we have, yep, we have the mesh, everything's cool. Go into third person or first person and grab the AC Store Manager. Now by pressing B, we're just gonna hard code this. Find the B, here the B key, and get this preview line trace. Plug that in. Okay, nothing works. Okay, so set the building to true for now. So building right here, that's the timer. We have to loop it and set it to 0.1. Now if we press B, you can see now it kind of line traces, but it kind of gets into my body, what I do not like. So I spent like an hour trying to figure it out. I couldn't. This one, set relative time. Bro, sometimes my it should be set world relative. Wait. Set world transfer. Don't question. I didn't really change anything. Yep. Only I changed tag. So if you click on the ground where you want to place, search for tag and basically copy paste the ground. So copy that and paste in components and actor. Now if we press B, you can see there's a mesh that just basically flying around. For the first person it should work a little bit better. So if we disable and set the stop block amount to 25 or bigger, it's quite up to you. You can see now it's a little bit better. If we set it to, for example, higher, the lock amount, for example 90, now you can see it kind of moves with the grid. So that would be a grid. If I move, you can see. So that's basically the grid. If you don't want it, just set it to 0, 0, and it should move very, very smoothly. Set it to 1 because if you multiply 0 or divide with 0, some may not. Set it to 1 and it should move smoothly. So that's how we preview it. And if you cannot place that, it should go red, just like that. So next up, we're gonna add so we can actually place the object on the ground. So that's basically it.